Hi, this is Jim Buivid again, and this lesson on Adobe Bridge will be about navigation. There's a lot of things that you can do with Bridge that'll help you find files quicker, and you'll probably find these be a lot easier than ways that you might have used in the past. Right now I'm in Bridge. Clicking on my main hard drive, and it shows some of the different, or I should say my main computer, and shows all the different hard drives I have available. And typically I use this area to find specific, files that I'm looking for. So I thought we'd just kind of go through here a little bit, and then I'll start showing you what all the different navigational items are across the top. So if I'm looking for files that are located in my Photos file, I just click there. If you kind of hit the triangle, you can go into the different folders that are available there. Now if you come down to the very bottom here, I'm just going to bring it up a little bit so you can see where I'm grabbing here. I'm using the area down here, the slider, to make my image files bigger and smaller. If I open it up to a specific folder, let's just grab one here and grab some images. There we go. So now you can see how easy it is to make the images a little bit larger to view. And down here as well, there are certain dialog boxes that you can change the way you view the thumbnails. This one here just lets you see the thumbnails. This one here actually puts a grid around them, so as you're scrolling through them, you only see, each file cleanly outlined here. If you go back here and you start clicking, it doesn't replace the files as easily, and it's a little bit sometimes more cumbersome viewing that. This next item here just lets you view all the details of your files. And if you can read over here, it shows you the pixel dimension, the color space you're using, even shows you information from the camera files as well. And then the final one is basically if you're just looking for a list, and sometimes I'll even use this for a list of different items. I typically like to leave it in the thumbnails like this, and then I'll just fill the screen again with the images. And so if you want, you can move these boxes back and forth if you need to view the names and the words here a little bit easier. And as you're going through the different files, you'll see that it's easily displayed here. And then once again, if you just kind of close the triangle, you're all set there. So now this time, let's just go across the top. Let me just kind of come in a little bit closer to it so you can see exactly what they are. The first item here, these buttons let you go back and forth between some of the folders that you're scrolling through. And it's sometimes helpful if you get buried, say 4 levels deep within a folder. You can just kind of click the back button here. Now let's just do that for a second here. So if I got down here, went within this folder here, and went within another folder, if I just go back here, it just kind of scrolls back to the beginning, and then clicking here just goes right back to where I was. So it's a nice kind of way to move around there. Now the next item is called Go to Parent or Favorites, and this is actually real helpful if you happen to go to a particular folder real often. If you click and hold it for a second, it'll actually show you files that you've just been to recently. So this is one way to find those. And you can also do that with the next button here, which is called Recent File Folder. And if you click that, it kind of shows you a similar list. But what's nice about this one here is, say you have a file that you go to, or a folder real frequently. Now let's go ahead and let's close this one up. And say you want to come down to photo templates frequently. Well, if you go up to Window here, and you just turn on your Favorites panel, right over here, if you drag that folder over to this side here under Favorites, and I'll just do that. Here's Photo Templates. I'm grabbing that, dragging it over to here. So now Photo Templates is in the Favorites folder, and I can actually now close that. And when I come back here, here's Photo Templates, and it takes me right there. So it's a very, very easy way to get around to certain things, and to get rid of it in Favorites, you just go to Favorites and you just unselect that, and you're back to normal again. And then now if I came here to the recent, you'll see that, it's actually listed here because I had gone to it recently, but this list will tend to change as you, work on more and more folders. And our next item here lets us return to Photoshop. So if we click on that, we're back into Photoshop. And to get back to Bridge, basically just click back, and now we're back into Bridge again. Now our next item here, say you're going to be getting some photos from a camera, you can click here and it'll actually be able to help you download files. This next one is really kind of cool. Let me just kind of get some image files open here. And here we've got a number of images to look at. I'm just going to make a little bit smaller here so I can kind of see there's quite a few in there. And when I click on this, let's kind of select, say, this first row here, and I just did shift click to the end, so I'm selecting this whole group here. And if I go here and go to review mode, it actually brings these images up here, and if I just hit the right arrow, it just changes from one image to the other. Then I can hit the left arrow to go back again. And say there's a particular image that you don't want to see in this group anymore. If you just hit the down arrow, it'll just take it out. So now we can go through again. Say this image you don't want in, you just hit the down arrow and it's out. So it's just a kind of a quick way to do a fast edit. And you can see the arrows over here as well, let you move through it. And once again, you can hit the down arrow, and then once again you can get out of here, and now we're back to our grouping here. So it's just one more way to view the different images, and that's under review or refine mode. And if we just grab several of these, let's go here. You can actually start renaming files. If you wanted to just find file information, let's just grab one of these files. And if you come to file info, there we go. It brings up an awful lot of different information about this file here. A lot of it's not filled in right now, but the camera data could be very helpful. Say you're looking through and trying to find information on files and find out what aperture and things you used. Raw data actually lists all the different things that you might have done to this particular image. And there's actually a considerable amount of things that are saved along with that image there. So this is kind of a great way to get through some of the history of your image. And when we're done with it, we just click OK. We're out of there. Now we come across to open in Camera Raw. If we wanted to do some adjustments with this image, we can actually go to Camera Raw. And the next item is called Output, and that's very helpful for making something called a proof sheet. So let's just actually select just this group here. And if I click down, I can say Output to Web or PDF. So let's take a look at what this does here. And what you do is you get a variety of selection information here. And I've already made a couple of presets. And let's just do a real simple one that's a 2 column by 2 row. And you have to hit refresh each time you want to update your imagery. And this is basically how it would lay it out in a landscape version. Here, let's hit it vertical, and let's redo that. And it's just a real simple way now that I can kind of go down here under Save, and when you click Save, it'll actually save this as a PDF, and you have a lot of different options here to modify it. When you come back up here, it gives you the size of the paper you're going to save it on. The quality, you can actually save it as very low res if you wanted to send this out as a proof sheet to somebody. Quality, you can just slide your slider here as well. Background, you can change them from white to any particular color you like. Layout, as I mentioned, I had a couple of custom layouts here, and they're already preset. You have to hit refresh once again to draw that. There we go. And this one, I happen to have the names listed underneath it, and that's very helpful when somebody's going to be ordering from that. And when you save it as a PDF, they can actually come in closer to the image to see it a little bit better. I usually put some information across the top and on the bottom as well, usually copyright information. The file name, you can change your fonts and things like that. Excuse me for jumping through there so quickly. The layout, like I said, is very straightforward. Let's jump down here. File name, you can change all your fonts if you care to. You can change the size, color, of course. You can number the pages. On the header, I basically put order due in 7 days. And as I'm coming down here, you can put information down on your footer as well. Let's pull that down even further. You can even save it as a mini slideshow. And a lot of people have asked for a watermark, and you can insert text, something as simple as proof. and you can set the color. Usually something bright works out good. Let's make it a little bit bigger, 35 point. Let's hit refresh. So if you needed to send something out just as a proof, you could send that out to somebody, and you're able to get your information to them without problems with copying data. And when you're done with this, like I said, you can hit save and you're all set to go. Otherwise, if you want, you can just kind of go back to the other files. Let me just drag these out. And then this is a really, really wonderful feature here. I can actually go to the different layouts, give the layout a name, and I can switch back and forth to it. So here, if I'm switching here, I can actually go through for viewing it. The reason I put sound here is really frequently I'm using this to listen to audio and videos. Printout basically just gives you the layout of what it's going to look like. And some of these others have basically all the information you'd ever want to see on an image laid out here for you. Film strip is just a very simple way to view them quickly. And basically, once you kind of come up with a design, because when you're in a design, you can basically move these around. You can turn on some of these windows. You can, get rid of the export if you don't need it. You can get rid of collections if you don't need it. Filter if you don't need it. And then when you're done, you basically just save it and just give it a new name here. So workspace would be where you go to, and give it a name, and all of a sudden you've got another workspace available to you. And the one I use most often is right here, previews. I'm very frequently going through folders and looking at the images, and this is how I would go about doing that. And then on here, as you're going through image files, you can see it gives you a path of where the image is. The folder, it's on this hard drive, this folder, and this is the folder within this folder and within this folder here. So you can really get through to images very quickly. And once again, with the back buttons, you can get out of there and come right back to it if you need to. And it's very, very helpful. Right over here, very, very important thing when you're working on images. Let me just get them a little bit bigger here for you. You can actually change the quality of these so you can view them quicker on screen. Say you're going through many hundreds of images and you don't want to wait for a high quality preview. You can set it to prefer embedded, and it's a very fast view of it, but it doesn't look very, very sharp on the screen. So use it with discretion. It's quicker than this one down here, generate 100% previews. As I mentioned in the one on preferences, if you set it to 100% previews, they're going to be very, very large and take up an awful lot of cache space, which does use up space on your hard drive. Typically, I found that just leaving it on always high quality is about the best way you can go. So let's make these just a little bit smaller ones. And now you can see some of these have a couple of stars next to them. Some of them don't have any stars. Well, that's what this next button is for. Filter items by rating. And if I just go to 1 and above, it'll give me the images that I've chosen. And if I go to 2 and above, of course, it's going to narrow it down to these. But let's just give this 3 stars by just hitting Command and the number 3. And let's give Command and number 3 here. And now if I say, just show me the 3 stars and above, there you go. It lets you highlight things and find them very, very quickly. And to get out of that, you basically just come back to Clear Filter. And there you are. You've got all your images back again. And there's also another way that you can find your images. You can actually sort by file type. Say you have JPEGs and PSD files mixed together. You can sort them out very quickly this way. You can actually sort by date that they were created. So if you happen to have something that got messed up a little bit with the names, but you know exactly when it was created, you might be able to find it quicker this way. You can sort by dimensions, so you can find all the verticals first, possibly, and the horizontals last. And coming down here, you can even sort it by label color if you decide to do so. I typically kind of leave it here. It's going to work the best. And the last couple of items across the top are if you needed to rotate the image. If you come up here real close, you can see you can rotate counterclockwise or clockwise. And the last few are basically for checking recent files that you've had here. If you click down here, you can see some of the more recent ones that you've just opened up. Same with down here, you can create a new folder within here. And then probably one of the more helpful buttons as you're going through and editing images, say you're doing a first, or not to say a first edit, but an edit, and you're trying to actually delete the images. When you click on several and you know you want to get them off the hard drive, you just come up here to the delete item, and when you click that, it is definitely off the hard drive. So that'll wrap it up for this particular lesson.